Hi there, this is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, and welcome to another episode of my Eurekas in a row, where I go through my consecutive Eureka spine numbers as a way just to advertise the MOC and also just to show off the kind of different sorts of films that the Masters of Cinema range has. First of all, I'd like to apologise for the audio issues in my last couple of videos. The people responsible have been fired, and they are now working for Nike. They took a pay rise to work at Nike of 75 cents an hour, but they have installed new staff who will be getting 50 cents an hour for doing quality control work on my videos, so hopefully the audio problems have been solved. So this little run is spine number 194 to spine number 201. There is a director that is on this list, or is in this bunch of releases a few times, and that director is Billy Wilder. This is spine number 194, and this is Witness from the Prosecution, for the prosecution even, from 1957, 116 minutes. This is perhaps a little bit of an outlier from Billy Wilder, seeing it's more of a straight film. Even though the screenplay was written by Wilder and Kurnitz, and there's a little bit of that black humour. This is based on a story and stage play by Agatha Christie, starring Tyrone Power. For some reason he's the top bill, with Marlene Dietrich and Charles Laughton. Elsa Lancaster's in it as well. Look at that wonderful publicity still. They've probably just been told this isn't one of my favourite Billy Wilder films, but it's still very good. This edition is Blu-ray only, reversible artwork. There's a new and exclusive feature-length commentary by Kat Ellinger, Moricos and Cigars, Simon Callow and Charles Laughton in Billy Wilder's Witness for the Prosecution. There's a new video interview with Neil Sinyard, who does a lot of Billy Wilder work, as well as other work for boutique labels. There's archive footage of Billy Wilder discussing Witness for the Prosecution with Volker Schondorf, and there's booklets containing essays, and there's a letter from Agatha Christie to Billy Wilder in the booklet as well. Well, not the original one, obviously. Yes, this is a lot of fun. Twists and turns, wonderful performances. It kind of shows you how good Billy Wilder was when Witness for the Prosecution's never really spoken about as amongst his best work. Next, something a little bit different. From 1986, this is Salvador. First time I saw this film, I think it was late night BBC Two, and it left quite an impression. This is one of those films from 1986 that is an 18 certificate and continues to be an 18 certificate and will always be an 18 certificate. This is strong stuff. James Woods, perhaps his finest performance. Jim Belushi, perhaps his finest performance. Michael Murphy, John Savage is in this. Elpida Carrillo and Cindy Gibb. This was written by Oliver Stone and Richard Boyle, who's the journalist character James Woods plays, who is a bit of a scumbag, but it's just on the right side of fascinating scumbag for me. I think this is the only Oliver Stone film I have in the collection, because I'm not a fan of Oliver Stone the man, really, or his films either. This is a Blu-ray and DVD, so with a booklet as well. This is one of those films you feel like you've got to take a shower afterwards. Boyle takes his pal down to El Salvador, apart from anything else, just to get away from his situation in LA, just to cover the Civil War, but it turns out to be like full-blown nightmare. The film is brutal. There's one scene in particular that's particularly brutal. This has a feature-length commentary with Oliver Stone, but I've never listened to it. This has an extensive archival interview with Oliver Stone at BFI, which I've never listened to. A really heard lengthy audio interview with Oliver Stone from 1986, which I've never listened to. And Into the Valley of Death, 62 minutes, a documentary of the making of Salvador, which I have watched. It contains deleted and extended scenes, and one of the essays in the booklet is by Barry Forshaw, who usually does commentaries with Kim Newman on horror titles. But again, you could argue this is a horror film. It's one of those non-horror horror films. Not a film you watch all the time. And if you do watch Salvador once a week, I would maybe seek professional help. And then back to something a little bit different for spine number 196. This is Otto Preminger's Laura. It's from 1944, only 88 minutes. Preminger replaced Ruben Mamoulian, who was fired. Not actually sure why he was fired. I should maybe listen to the commentary and find out. This has a commentary with composer David Raxon and film professor Janine Basinger. Don't know whether she's a relation of Kim. There's a commentary by film historian Rudy Belmer, and then there's a whole bunch of radio adaptations from 1945, 1954, and there's a couple from 1945, one from 1948 starring some of the stars of the film, and other substitutes. There's a version with Victor Mature and the Dana Andrews part. Again, Dana Andrews sometimes is wonderful and sometimes not so much, but he's wonderful in this. There's the booklet, and this is just a Blu-ray. Reversible artwork. This is just a wonderful little film. Again, I do find quite a lot of Preminger's work is very good, but also a little bit overlong, because he replaced the original director. This is really short and crisp, but 88 minutes doesn't need to be any longer. And strangely enough, it's one of my favourite Premingers. Beautifully shot, as you would expect. And then we have 197, Fritz Lang, very much like Billy Wilder, who has quite a lot of films in the Masters of the Cinema series. This is Human Desire with Glenn Ford, Gloria Graham and Broderick Crawford, and that's a pretty impressive trio. From 1954, 90 minutes. This is basically not necessarily a remake of La Bête Humaine, but from the same source novel by Émile Zola. La Bête Humaine from 1938 with Jean Gabin is the far better film. This is a Blu-ray and DVD. Again, the MOC, sometimes it's a Blu-ray, sometimes it's Blu-ray and DVD. This is solid, without being great, I would say. There's just a spark missing from it. Again, Glenn Ford, sometimes he's great, sometimes kind of goes through the motions a bit. This is still worth seeing, obviously, if you're a Fritz Lang fan, but if you're a fan of noir as well. It's a minor Fritz Lang film. You're probably better off watching La Bête Humaine with Jean Gabin, but still an interesting film to watch. Spine number 198. It's back to Billy Wilder for Irma Deuce. Basically a film about prostitution in Paris, but handled in a light way, even though there's some dark undertones, based on a play. And this is from 1963. It's 143 minutes, and that's kind of the flaw in the film, I think. Wilder would kind of do this off and on later in his career. His films would be way too long. There's no reason that this is almost 2.5 hours long. Jack Lemmon's fantastic in it. Shirley MacLaine is wonderful as well. This is just a Blu-ray with the booklet. And this one's got a commentary by Kat Ellinger as well, which is excellent. There's a commentary by film historian Joseph McBride as well. There's a brand new exclusive interview with Neil Sinyard. So again, not top tier Billy Wilder, but certainly worth a look. That's also available in Kino Lorber Region A. I should say, I think all of these are Region B. And then 199, it's another Billy Wilder. This is 123. One of his box office misfires, even though I think it stands up better today than perhaps it did at the time. This even has a slipcover if you're keeping score at home. This is 1961, 108 minutes, and it stars Jimmy Cagney, or James Cagney. I'm not that familiar with him. Horst Buchholz of Magnificent Seven fame, and this is a Cold War satire, but also a kind of satire on capitalism, written by Wilder and I.A.L. Diamond. Wilder wanted to make the fastest picture in the world, and it does have a lot of rat-a-tat dialogue. I think it was perhaps a little bit too fast for audiences, and perhaps didn't get the satire, but it is kind of wonderful. Cagney plays an employee of Pepsi Cola who gets sent to West Germany to do marketing and sales, obviously, and to look after the boss's daughter, but she ends up falling for Horst Buchholz, who's in East Germany, and he is a bit of a political agitator, a bit of a communist, and obviously communism and capitalism don't mix, and hilarity ensues. This print looks wonderful. Again, I think you can get this in Kino Lorber Region A. This has a new interview with Neil Sinyard, and it's got a commentary by film historian Michael Schlesinger. Unappreciated at the time, but I think it stands up pretty well nowadays. What's that? 64 years later. Spine Number 200 was actually a release that I forgot to show in my Martin Scorsese film collection video. It's The Last Waltz from 1978, same year as Taxi Driver. One of the best concert films of all time. Quite an impressive lineup, if you like that lineup. Also the Staples singing The Weight with the band is absolutely wonderful. You also got Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell and Neil Diamond and Emmylou Harris and Neil Young and Van Morrison and Ronnie Wood. Muddy Waters, Eric Clapton, Ringo Starr, Dr. John, Ronnie Hawkins, Paul Butterfield. I think this is now on 4K and Criterion. You do get a nice thick booklet. Obviously there's a standard version as well. Some nice paintings. I have the 2 CD soundtrack as well because it's rather good. That's essentially what you get in the standard version. It's 117 minutes long. Versatile artwork, just as the box cover. And this has a ton of commentaries. One with Scorsese and Robert Robertson, and one with the band and other artists, including Mavis Staples. God, I love Mavis Staples. And there's a Revisiting the Last Waltz featurette, which is 22 minutes long. It's the perfect kind of mix of the music and then the band telling anecdotes, some of which are funny slash scary. The Last Waltz, a Scorsese film, you can enjoy. Spy number 201 is Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, with Bette Davis and Olivia de Havilland and Joseph Cotton. This was supposed to be a kind of loose sequel or follow-up to Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Obviously Joan Crawford is not in this film. Directed by Robert Aldridge, from 1964, 133 minutes, which is way too long. I think this film suffers from its length as well. See, you can see that picture, you can imagine Joan Crawford next to Bette Davis. This is set in the bayou and everything's hot and steamy and furious. Great performance by Bette Davis. Olivia de Havilland's fantastic as well. But again, overall, I would say it's solid. It's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination. Again, it's probably too long. But Kat Ellinger again does the commentary, and there's also a commentary by film historian Glenn Erickson. The 22-minute making of. Bruce Dern is in the film along with Agnes Moorehead. So Bruce Dern remembers for 13 minutes and then he forgets everything. Wizard Work, a 5-minute archival behind the scenes narrated by Joseph Cotton, and we all love those kind of archival things where the stars actually talk about the film. Yeah, not the best Robert Aldridge, but certainly interesting. So thanks very much for watching this episode of my Eurekas consecutive or spine numbers in a row. This is 194 to 201. Still got a bunch more videos to do in this series, which I hope you're finding a little bit interesting. So let me know which one of these films you like, which ones you have on Eureka Massive Cinema, and hopefully you'll join me for more episodes. This is Soldier Ronan from Soldier Ronan Films, saying thanks very much, and farewell.